And now it's being live streamed on Facebook. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marissa Beach, and I'm a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway. And today we have a nice 60-minute course on Homebuyer Education 101. And we have two other presenters as well. The class instructors include Donata Luce, who's also a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway, and Evie Knock with Guild Mortgage, who is a lender. So for the first half, we're going to have Evie introduce herself and talk about the financing side of obtaining a mortgage to buy a home. Take it away, Evie.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in here. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. I don't see it. Oh. You see that? Shoot, I don't see that it's doing the right screen, even though I'm.
We can see it.
Oh, you can? Okay. Okay, perfect. All right, so I do want to apologize that something happened to my PowerPoint, so I had to move it to a PDF and apologize about that. I'm going to talk about CashPass and what that is. It really just allows a home buyer to compete, who's having financing, to compete against a cash offer, and I'll explain how that works. Okay, so the market has shifted a little bit, and it's not quite as competitive. And, you know, we don't know exactly what will happen in the future, but what I can say is that the demand for homes has really outpaced the supply. So cash offers have really been around for a long time. I mean, I remember being pretty competitive and my clients losing out to cash offers starting in 2012. And there's still going to be cash offers, you know, so even if the market changes, they're still going to be prevalent. And sellers, and even right now, depending on the home, you still might actually compete against one or two other buyers, maybe not 20 or 25 like it was earlier this year, or maybe in past years, or in the spring buying market. So I feel like this program is a really good advantage to edge out against those other buyers that will require financing. Okay, and sellers, I mean, when it comes to apples to apples of the same price, but somebody needs financing, even regardless of whether they waive it or not. And you can waive financing, and that was happening quite a bit in the market. But you know, you still, what if something happens? You know, and you still have to close. The seller is expecting you to close, so they're going to take a cash offer because that's not tied to any financing whatsoever. You know, that buyer is going to come in with, you know, cash. So what I want to emphasize though is that the cash pass is really not, it's not just to close in cash. I mean, the goal is really to close with permanent financing. This cash pass is really like a safety net. So the safety net is going to be that, hey, if something does happen with finance at the end and we cannot close, then Guild is going to come in and actually pay cash for the home so that you can close. You can get the keys, the seller gets paid, realtors get paid, and then afterwards, Guild is going to work on securing the permanent financing based on what has happened, overcoming that, whether it's someone who has lost their job or if it's an issue with appraisal, things like that. So it is allowing you to make an offer with the idea of definitely closing with permanent financing, but you get to waive your financing and you get to waive your appraisal and not lose your earnest money if something does happen at the end, because Guild will step in and do the cash purchase of the home. And I'll explain how all of this works in a little more detail. Okay. All right. So first, the program qualifications. It's gonna be on conventional financing only, so what that means, it's not FHA, not VA, not rural housing, those kind of things. It's just conventional financing. We might move towards that later on. It's a fairly new product, so that might happen. But for now, it's just conventional. Conforming and high balance. Okay, so what does that mean? So it depends on what county that you're in. So nationally, the conforming loan limits are 647,200. So if you are in Washington, if you're in Thurston County or Island County, that's going to be the max loan limit for you on this program. If you are in King, Pierce, or Snohomish County, then you're going to be able to go to 891,000 for a loan amount, not a purchase price, but for a loan balance. Okay, and it is available on primary homes. So that means your owner occupied home, second homes. So that's more like vacation destination homes, and also investment properties. So I think it's really great that it also covers investment properties, because that space can also be very competitive for investors. The down payment is going to vary on which occupancy. So for primary, it's going to be 10% down. Second homes also 10% down. Investment properties, it's going to be like 20% down. And then you do have to have a 680 credit score or higher. Now that we will allow for 1 to 4 unit properties, and that means for owner occupied too. So like if you wanted to purchase a 4 unit property or a 2 unit property, but live in one of them, that would be owner occupied with 10% down. It's going to include the PUDs, so planned urban developments, townhomes, not condos at this time, not manufactured homes, deed restricted kind of scenarios, leasehold. Those are all a little bit more risky. And what we're trying to make sure is that, again, you're doing permanent financing, but if something happens, we'll come in with cash, and Yield does not want to have anything that's really restricted. There cannot be a tenant at closing unless it is an investment property. Okay, now if you have negotiated with the seller to have the seller stay and rent back for a little bit, that's okay. It just can't be a permanent tenant that's in there. We want you to be able to go in and actually occupy the property within 60 days. And again, the property must meet conventional guidelines. So we're underwriting, basically we start out with pre-approving, and then we underwrite your file to make sure that everything is completely solid, that we have everything in place. So we're really making sure that you can purchase with financing. If you have gift funds that you're borrowing, we're going to want to make sure that those are already liquidated into your account. If you're drawing from stocks, we're going to want to make sure those are liquidated, because we want to have a very quick close. It's a 14 business day close. Want everything solid, nothing left, really just getting clear title and appraisal and also an inspection. So an inspection is required. So understanding the costs here. So if we are to, well, first of all, with the program, we do require that the earnest money be at least 2%. I mean, that's probably not a problem in making your offer today. I think that's mostly, the larger the earnest money deposit, that's what the EMD stands for, the better. And within 3 days. So, and which is, I think is also not a problem. That's probably pretty customary, and Marissa and Donata will talk about that. So the earnest money, it's going to be just it's going to go towards your closing costs. So that 2% of the purchase price, if it's 700,000, it's $14,000. That does go towards your down payment and closing costs. It's just that's really what we require. We don't want to have 1%. We want to have a little bit more in there. The program nationally does cost $1,350, but it is waived in Washington. We are not charging that fee in Washington, so that's good news. We're going to quote and have you, so what I do is I set up estimates for folks. I say, hey, here's what your financing looks like with 10% down. Here's another option. And then if you want to do the cash pass, I really lay out, we're laying out everything that is involved that could happen if Guild is going to actually purchase in cash, and then you're going to purchase later, because there will be additional costs. And part of that would be $200 to $500 on average for extra for the appraisal. And that is because we have to have the appraisal changed into Guild's name if we are going to close, and then eventually updated to when you buy from Guild. And of course, this is only in case your financing fell through. Some of the other costs are just in general are going to be things that the home buyer incurred and the following fees and charges. So it's going to be like a reimbursement to Guild for everything that Guild hit. So think about it as if you have a rich, uncle that says, don't worry, if something happens to your financing, I'm going to come in and I'm going to pay cash for the house. And so that's great. But the rich uncle is not going to want to pay for any of the fees that they incurred, right? And they won't have any sort of loan costs because there wasn't a loan involved, but there is escrow and title fees as a buyer, and there's escrow and title fees as a seller. So the uncle is going to incur both of those things and want you to reimburse it. So that's really what the fees are if we were to move forward and pay cash for the home. Okay, there could also be state and local transfer fees, so that would be applicable. And then what happens is there's going to be a rental cost, right? So we are going to come in, we're going to close. We want you to move into the house, you get the keys, but then you're going to have to rent back, and that's going to be based on your interest rate and the loan. So what we're really just asking for is that any per diem interest on your loan, what we estimate that your loan will be, that gets paid back to Guild. And there, again, that's all disclosed upfront, okay? And any other property related expenses, including taxes, insurance, property maintenance, and things like that. So Guild just wants to come in with the money, allow you not to lose your earnest money, close on the home, be able to move in, but get reimbursed for any extra expenses. Okay. Some of the steps to make before making an offer, and I know this is a little small to see, but you do get a cash pass certificate, and you also get very specific, instructions and guidelines on what it entails. So you'll have your purchase and sale agreement, and then you'll have the cash pass certificate. In order to get that, so you're interested in a home, and let's say, so you're making an offer with Marissa or Donato, and they're going to say, hey, Evie, here's the listing, here's all of the information, and here are maybe even some comparables. This is the max cash amount that we want to offer. I say, okay, great, and I get those comparables, the max cash amount that you want to offer to be competitive, get the listing information, and then I submit that to our cash pass committee, and then they review it, and within 4 business hours, they present this certificate, okay? And really what that means is that you're making the offer based on your financing, but we're also in that offer as a nominee to pay cash and be able to close if something doesn't happen, and we can't close within 14 business days. So about 3 or 4 days before the closing date, if financing doesn't look like it's going to be secure, maybe even due to something with the appraisal, or maybe even due to the fact that the appraiser is requiring repairs of some sort, we're going to step in, we're going to close with cash. Okay. So some of the other steps to take for making an offer. This is actually, once you do make your offer, we do want to make sure that it's contingent upon an inspection, and that Guild gets a chance to review the CC&Rs. Okay, so that's like the rules about the development, and we want to make sure that there's no restrictions. And we have about 14. We want to close in 14 business days, but that inspection time period where we're reviewing the CC&Rs and the inspection is 7 days. So we have a minimum of 7 days to review that. We're going to order an appraisal in the meantime. And sometimes, when you're putting, let's say, maybe 20% down or more, sometimes we might not need an appraisal. So that would be great. But if we need an appraisal, we'll talk about the appraisal turn times. We'll get the appraisal back on a rush. And then, so Gil is gonna review those, if there's CCNRs, like if it's a planned urban development, if they have CCNRs, and any of the appraisal contingency items we're gonna review, okay? And then we're going to, again, require that you have the certificate, that there's 2% earnest money is deposited. There is a specific title and escrow company that we work with, because this program is a little more complicated. And so, it's steward title and escrow, so that would be one of the requirements as well in the purchase and sales, that they do that, because they are very experienced with that, and we want to make sure that everything goes smoothly, okay? So there's no appraisal or financing contingency required. That's going to make your offer really, really strong. And even though there's not an appraisal requirement, there's still it's going to be an appraisal for that loan program. It's just that we're not as concerned with the value that it comes back with. So the seller still really does need to let the appraiser in. Okay. And then, of course, getting the purchase and sale agreement within 24 hours to Guild, which is pretty standard. That's not an issue. Okay, let me go to the next slide. Okay, and then in this is just an example of sort of the verbiage that it would state in Guild, and I'm just going to zoom in on this, and it really just says here, this is just part of the addendum where it says down here, it says, if, and you might not be able to see this, but it says, if buyer is unable to purchase the property in accordance with the terms of the purchase agreement, Guild shall purchase the property from seller and pursuant to the purchase. So it's stating in that purchase and sale as an addendum. We have an addendum page that we will come in and purchase with cash. And so that's going to, again, be really strong with your offer, because it's going to assure the seller that, yes, we do want to close with financing, but if something happens at the end, we're going to come in and you're going to get cash, and don't worry, seller, you're going to be able to sell your home. And here's some next steps after the offer is accepted. I think we really kind of went over these already, but the home inspection is ordered. So you can do a pre-inspection, but if you do a pre-inspection, we still need to have, it cannot be from the sellers. It cannot be a seller inspection. It has to be your own. And we want to look over all those details. Again, we're going to look at the CCNRs, just make sure that there's no restricted deed language in there. Order the appraisal and for your permanent financing. But again, if the appraisal is low, that's not an issue. You get to waive the appraisal. We're going to open up title and escrow with that specific company, Stewart Title, because they have experience. And at the 7-day mark, we're going to say, okay, we're going to have, it's a 7-day inspection contingency. And so after that, that's really the only basic inspection that we have. After that, we'll be moving forward towards closing. Okay. All right. So just a little bit about the rental contract too. So a rental agreement would be drawn up. So let's say about 3 to 4 days before we can see that we're not going to be closing on time. We will have a rental agreement between us and the buyer, so that falls into place, and so that we can make sure that we're going to be able to close. They're renting back, and then we're going to secure the permanent financing after that. Okay, so if we do not move forward with the cash pass, in every other state except for Washington, there still is the $1,300, $50 fee. So we still have that fee, but not in Washington. Okay. Okay, and again, just as a reminder that it could end up being a 2-transaction closing, and if so, we really do talk about that, and I really do educate on what those additional fees will be. Okay, and just that's pretty much what it about cash pass. I know I have a couple more minutes here, and so I just wanted to throw in a few other options. Let's say that you're watching this but you already own a home. and you're like, well, this sounds great. This solves my problem with having to compete against cash offers, but you know, I don't want to have to sell first and then buy. I want to be able to buy first and then sell. So that's where the bridge loan option comes in. And that can be combined with the cash pass. And that's great. What we're going to do is we're going to be able to access the equity out of your home prior to selling, so you can put that down on the new home. The credit requirements are a little bit more, so it's a 720 instead of a 680 credit score. The minimum amount that we will pull out would be 40,000 and up to 300,000. You just have to have enough equity, so that's why it says your loan to value can't exceed 80%. We want to make sure that you're left with 20% equity. Again, this is on your current home, so, and we do expect you to sell that home afterwards, and you have 6 months to do that. So once you have this in place, you're able to purchase. It's also another good, if you are wanting to sell your home, it's actually another good way to make an offer and make it strong. So I just recently had someone who did this, like we got the bridge loan in place, they made their offer, they actually had some extra, enough money to, you know, put like 5 or 10% down. But we said, hey, you know, don't worry, we're going to do this bridge loan. We'll have more money down. And then yes, they do want to sell their home. What ended up happening is they sold their home in time to use all of that money to put down on the new home, and we didn't have to execute the bridge loan. But it really gave assurance to the seller that we had that in place, and even if they couldn't sell their home, we were going to be able to have enough money to put down to qualify them. So it's a good program to use in that case. The next one to use with Cash Pass is this lock and shop. And the lock and shop allows you, if you're worried about, especially about where interest rates are going to go, it does allow you to lock in for 120 days. There's no property address that's required. And so it protects you in case rates go up. But by 3 months, you really do have to have a property at that point to purchase. And then if rates are actually lower, you get the lower rate. So it's almost like a security insurance for if rates go higher. So you're locked in, rates go higher, guess what? You're protected. You're at a lower rate than anybody else. But right before, 30 days before you're actually closing on a property, if rates are lower, you do get the lower rate. So it gives you that one-time float down option, right? So those are a couple of the great programs that go with Cash Pass, and that's actually really all I have for today.
Great. Thank you so much, Abby. Great information there. So now we're going to talk about the real estate side of things. Once you are pre-approved with a lender, and depending on which program that you choose that's beneficial to you, then obviously we start shopping for a home, which is very exciting. So me and Donato as realtors have about a decade of experience representing buyers, sellers, investors. And so one of the things that you need to know as a client is that there is agency representation. Similarly, you sign a contract, you know, as far as when you sign up for health insurance, or when you enter into a contract with contractors or other vendors or other companies, we also enter into a contract that says we're going to work together. And so some of the documents that we share include the laws of real estate. It's a pamphlet that shows you what are the responsibilities and duties of real estate agents and buyers and sellers. And Form 41A, when we refer to forms, we're talking about the Northwest MLS forms. So that's the multiple listing service. It's like the database hub of where all of us agents get our information as far as homes are for sale and things of that nature, and then we forward it on to our clients. The buyer's agency agreement basically says if you're a buyer, we're going to represent you throughout the buying process until we get you into the home and close. And Form 1A is the exclusive sale and listing agreement. So if you're a seller wanting to put your home on the market, that is one of the many forms that we review with you as a client in order for us to work together and collaborate throughout the process. So there are some major differences between owning and renting, as you all know. If you're a renter, there could be some benefits. Some advantages would be maybe there's low maintenance costs. You don't have to worry about yard maintenance or common areas and things of that nature. You might be able to move more frequently than you would if you own a home. However, it depends on your lease terms, right? You're also under a contract with your landlord, so it depends on if you're month to month or annual. Your payments arguably might be lower because you don't pay for maintenance. And there's a low risk of losing your investment, because when you're a homeowner, it's a huge asset, it's an investment, it's a way to build wealth over time. But when you're a renter, there is no risk because it is an investment. You're actually investing in your landlord's investment, which is their property. So some of the benefits of owning your home, a lot of people, when they rent, they have to pay for pet deposit, or maybe there's restrictions on the breed or size, weight of your dogs or cats or type of animals that you can have. When you own your home, you have the luxury of deciding what pets you want. There are no restrictions when it comes to single family homes. There might be restrictions when it comes to condominiums or townhouses, but that's a different story we'll talk about later. Other benefits include having a yard. A lot of people like having backyards during the summers, especially when it's nice and sunny outside and you want family and friends over. There's nobody telling you you can't have people over, and you're not restricted to just an apartment space if you're renting an apartment. You can decorate your home how you want, and you can also build some tax savings based on your payments. That's something to consult with your CPA about. And you're building equity year over year, time over time. A lot of people are like, well, why should I, build equity? Well, everybody wants to make money in the long run, I would think. That's why we go to jobs. That's why we get our careers and things like that. And so building equity over time means that you build wealth, and you could pass that on to your loved ones, or whoever you choose, even if it's a charity. And it also means, lastly, that you're the boss. You're your own landlord. So you don't have to consult with anybody else when it comes to, deciding the things above that we mentioned, besides other roommates or family members, if you so choose. But it's a sense of pride of ownership and freedom in that sense. So there are many steps to home ownership. A lot of times we find that clients are always tempted to look online, which is very normal, for homes before they even start the pre-approval process or before they even get educated about their options. So we like to start with education. It's really important. It's nice that everybody's, taking these free classes online, looking up YouTube videos, inquiring with family and friends. But it's important to educate yourself with professional advice. It's something that we always caution against. It's great to hear stories from friends and families, but they may or may not know the back end side of things, the things that we do to get people into homes and winning offers. Knowing your credit history, again, having a consultation with Evie, the lender, is really important. Knowing your budget, what you can afford. Researching various cities, areas, states, wherever you want to move to, and things that are important to you, whether it's school districts, proximity to parks, proximity to work, commute time. If you work from home, then obviously you have the luxury of deciding where you would like to live, and there's probably a lot more options for you. Knowing that the loan pre-approval, that's after that is when we start the search process. So before that, we don't go out and show homes, because we need to make sure we know what your budget is. We need to make sure that we know what your priorities are, and your type of loan could impact like what type of properties that you decide on or have options for. And we do a thorough search on your behalf. Me and Donato have a process down to the T. We basically communicate via text, via WhatsApp, via email. We have a variety of forms of communicating with our clients to make sure that everyone's happy during the search process. And then you get your home. So a lot of people ask often who's involved in the home buying process. And you'll see here, there's many, many people, oftentimes behind the scenes, oftentimes people that you never meet. And so most of the times our clients, the point of contact is either the realtor and or lender. You see here, it might be a housing counselor as well. If you're working with like a HUD nonprofit who helps you build credit or maybe fix your credit. And so they might be involved, the lender as Evie presented. And on the lending side, on her team, there's going to be a loan processor, an underwriter, a loan closer. And those are people basically who are part of the financing institution, the mortgage company or bank. And they are the ones combing through the file, right? They're trying to figure out like, okay, this is obviously a great property. These are great buyers. We need to look at their credit even closer. We need to pull more bank statements. We need to verify employment, things of that nature. Insurance agent is important. Me and Donato work with various companies, and we could always recommend people. If you love your current insurance agent, that's fine too. You can continue working with them. And then us real estate agents in Washington state, we're called brokers. And in other states, it's just agent and they're interchangeable. Buyer's broker, seller's broker is the same as real estate agent in other states. So there's the home inspector, home appraiser, title officer, and escrow officer. And we'll talk a lot more about the differences between a home inspector and a home appraiser, but those are all different companies. So even the appraiser is not part of the bank. They're a third-party company hired by the bank to evaluate the value of the home. And the title and escrow companies, those are different companies as well. So when you start your search, oftentimes, you know, we need to know the difference between what's your dream home versus a starter home. We work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and the one thing that's determining, you know, the criteria is usually budget and then family needs and wants, right? Your buyer's needs and wants. Whether you're one person or multiple people, it's important to write down your criteria to know what are you looking for. Are you looking for a house or a condominium, a townhouse? Where do you want to live? What is important to you? Because those are things that we talk about in our one-on-one Zoom calls when we have a consultation with our clients. Do some research, explore neighborhoods. I mean, every city has different neighborhoods. And so it's a matter of personal preference. What does being safe mean to you? What does being close to, again, proximity, whether it's close to work, close to other family members, close to friends. If those things are important to you, then we want to hear it as your realtor, so that way we can really narrow down your search. And again, there's different types of homes. There's single family homes, and single family homes have various styles. They could be a rambler, which is 1 story. They could be 2-story or 1.5, 3-story, 1 story with basement. Split entry, so when you walk in, you can go upstairs or downstairs. Condominiums are more like apartment style, but there's different types of condominiums as well. Townhouses tend to be a type of condominium that has a garage, and usually you just share one wall with your neighbors instead of, you know, having people above and below you like condominiums. Vacant land is self-explained, land that has no property on it, whether it's connected to utilities or not. You know, that's something that we look depending on the listing. Mobile homes are something, are a type of property as well. And the big difference is whether or not it's on leased land or owned land. Why does that matter? Well, it matters because not all banks can have all products in terms of the property type. So there's not only different types of loans or mortgages, but there's different types of properties that are influenced by what the bank can finance. And so when it's on leased land, it's actually considered personal property, like through the Department of Licensing or Department of Motor Vehicles, instead of, you know, real estate property, which is on owned land. So there's a lot of ways to find the right home. Obviously, we as your realtors will set you up on an automatic email campaign to send you, based on your criteria that you've communicated with us, what you're looking for. And we get that information from the Northwest MLS. So if you see any real estate company website online, all that information is all fed from the Northwest MLS. Like I said, it's the hub of all data when it comes to real estate in Washington State. And you can go to open houses, and, you know, we have our app as well that you can download, and we can communicate through that. There's Zillow, Redfin, other apps, driving around neighborhoods, and word of mouth. What's important though is knowing that the MLS is really the best source, because then that is what updates the status of things. Sometimes some websites, you don't know whether or not it's pending or sold, and you think that, oh, it's still available. So having the correct status of the property is really important. So that way we don't waste time seeing properties that are already under contract or that have already sold. As I mentioned earlier, depending on if you're looking for your starter home or your dream home, we need to know and talk about your needs and wants. You know, what is important to you? Is it important to have a large home? Is it important to have a small home? Do you want a tiny home? Do you want to have, enough home for enough family members and friends to come over? Or does, having the idea of maintaining such a large house, is that dizzying to you? How many bedrooms and bathrooms do you want? Do you want a rambler, one level? Do you want 2 level? Do you want a basement? Do you want a mother-in-law unit? Garage, no garage? Is yard important? Do you have pets? Having a separate laundry room? What is the state and condition of the home? Is it a newer home, new construction? Is it a fixer, or is it just TLC, tender loving care? Does it mean like cosmetic fixes, right? There's a variety of definitions when it comes to the word fixer. So it's really important for us to talk through, what do you mean if you say you want a fixer? Is the neighborhood, what neighborhoods, what zip codes, cities that are you're looking in? Again, proximity to work, proximity to other family members, distance to schools. DADU is detached additional dwelling unit. So it's like a mother-in-law unit. Is that important as far as earning rental income or having other guests come by? Again, if this is your first home, it's probably not going to be your last home. So that's something to keep in mind. Sometimes as first-time home buyers, and I can attest to this, we have a huge wish list. And then we realize, okay, well, maybe we don't get everything we want, but if we get maybe 60 to 70% of what we want, then we're going to be happy. And there's a saying in Spanish, bueno, bonito, barato, which is good, pretty, and cheap. And I put that on there in English just to explain that those words don't always go together, right? Something that's good and pretty might cost a pretty penny, and it might not be cheap, but it's an investment in the long term. And so in order to make money, sometimes we have to spend money. And the perfect home doesn't exist, even if it's new construction. We find buyers sometimes say, oh, this is perfect, it's move-in ready, and they move in, they're like, well, I don't like this, or I don't like that. So it's really important to narrow down your needs and wants. And now I'm going to turn it over to Donato to talk about the second portion of the real estate curriculum.
Hello, everyone. So we're now going to move into the second phase, which is talk about a little bit about placing an offer and all that goes with it. When we're out and about shopping for homes, eventually you hopefully will select the home you like. Always keeping in mind when we're placing offers that you want to keep your priorities in mind, all the things that Marissa just discussed. Things you have to think about in placing an offer is, what are you willing to pay for a property? You have a pre-approval amount, whatever that amount is, and are you willing to go to that amount or higher? How much cash do you have on hand? Sometimes we've come off a real estate market where people were bringing additional funds to go above and beyond the appraisal price, additional funds as far as cash above, or are you willing to, and also, are you willing to pay at or over list price? That's where the cash comes in. Also, you need to be prepared to put up earnest money. Usually that's, once again, how much cash you have in hand. We look at earnest money going anywhere between 1% to 2% of the purchase price. We've come from a market where people were putting 3%, 4%, 5%, 6% down on earnest money. The philosophy around that was, if you're bringing 5 or 6% to the table anyway for the purchase, many were bringing that money up front with the earnest money, because essentially the earnest money goes to the purchase of your home regardless. But it makes you more competitive the more you put down. Knowing the various markets is beyond important, because you truly need to understand what you can afford determines the areas. If you're wanting to live in the Seattle proper, the price points are significantly different than if you were, say, living in Des Moines or Kent or Federal Way, to include the size of properties. And of course, how far are you willing to drive? Now, with a lot of people now being able to work from home, many people are looking outside the norm. Maybe they have been used to having to commute 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it was, into city, whatever city that they had to work in. Now they're finding themselves where they can stay home and work and basically Zoom call in, webinar, whatever their scenario is, and they can do everything from home. So maybe living in the country or living, in a different county or whatever it might be, suits them, will suit you better. Be prepared for a counter offer. Why would you potentially get a counter offer? If you offer below list price, many a times bring in a counter offer. Maybe there's multiple offers on the table and maybe they like your offer better, but they would like you to bring more to the table. It just really depends on the situation that determines a counter offer. And once again, please don't compare your process to others. What a family member did during their purchase, or your friends or did during their purchase, will not be the same as yours, because you don't know the variables that went into them purchasing a home, what kind of money they had to purchase a home, where they were looking to purchase a home, and a variety of other things that go into purchasing a home. So what's all in an offer? The basic purchase and sale agreement of your residential property is a Form 21. There are other forms for condos, for manufactured homes, for vacant land, for even commercial. But basically residential, we use Form 21. With the Form 21, we do add the pre-approval letter from the lender. All listing brokers, to include the buyers, they want, the sellers, my apologies, want to know who the lender is, how much you're pre-approved for. Are you pre-approved? Are you pre-qualified, which is always what we don't want. We like pre-approval, but better yet, we like it when you've been underwritten already. We're going to add a financing contingency, Form 22A, which mirrors the pre-approval letter. There's potentially an escalation clause, Form 35E, which we've used a lot over the last few years due to the amount of competition that we had there, which basically explains and tells the seller that, hey, we're going to compete against any other offer that comes in, and we're willing to escalate our purchase price above the list price within a certain amount of increments up to a purchase price that they're comfortable with. Then we have the inspection contingency, which is a Form 35, which basically tells the seller that you have an intention of paying for an inspection of the home using an inspection company that will come in. They usually take about 2 to 3 hours, depending upon the size of the home. And they're going to tell the buyer all the good, bad, and ugly about the home. No perfect home is out there. So we kind of measure what exactly is wrong compared to what is good. Obviously, if the home needs a new roof, if the property's foundation, a variety of things that are critical to the safety of the home, we obviously would respond using the Form 35R, saying to the seller, hey, these are the things we would like fixed, or a credit, or price reduction. Just depends on the situation. On the other hand, there's also the opportunity to waive a home inspection. Many sellers are coming to the table now with their listings where they've done a home inspection of the property. They are willing to give you the report. They will show what they did to the property, if anything. It gives you an opportunity to potentially make your home a little stronger, or your offer a little bit stronger, but you also risk of not getting anything done that is required by the home inspection. So we always say, if you can do a home inspection, do a home inspection. There's a utilities addendum, Form 22K, which the seller fills out, letting us know what utilities are attached to the property, the electrical company, the sewer company, or if there's a septic, and a variety of other things as far as utilities. Recording clause is a Form 22Y that we use a lot of. Reason is there have been plenty of opportunities where we've come to closing day. Everything gets, all the funds go to escrow releases to record. It goes to the county, and the county's so busy that they don't get the opportunity to record our closing. What does the 22Y does is protect both parties from being able to terminate due to that. So it's a good form to have in there. We use it a lot. It's better to have it than not. If the home is built before 1978, it is a very good chance you can have lead-based paint. So we use the lead-based paint addendum for Form 22Y, J, which is the seller indicates if they've done anything in regards to lead-based paint. Do they know anything about lead-based paint on the property? A majority of all sellers don't, as my experience. Very few actually go out and do a lead-based paint of the property. And then in turn, the buyer has the opportunity to either waive that, or they can actually conduct their own lead-based paint study. You do get information on lead-based paint as part of the Form 22J to make that decision. Lastly, we got a seller's disclosure, Form 17, and this also many times will come in advance of us putting in a purchase and sale agreement, but yet sometimes it comes after. But basically what this is the seller fills out about a 6-page form with a variety of questions about the property where they get an opportunity to disclose what they know about the property. And in turn, the buyer gets an opportunity to review it, acknowledging they've received it, and or if they are happy with it, they can waive it all together. But there is, and then there's a variety of other forms that we do use depending upon the scenario of the property and the type of offer we're putting in. So next is home inspections. You're going to hear this a lot, not only us talking about it in this class, but also if you take any of our 5-hour home buyer classes, if you talk to a lender, if you talk to families and friends, they're always going to say, make sure you do a home inspection. We agree with that also. Why should you have one? Because this way you get a full report of the condition of the home from a licensed and bonded home inspector. How do you find a home inspector? We have a variety of great home inspectors. We will always offer you at least 3 of our best home inspectors for the area of the home to choose from. You get to call them up, you get to check their websites, you get to find out as much information as you like, to include how much things are going to cost. You can then pick one of them. We obviously will help you with that decision if you have any questions, but otherwise we have a great home inspectors to select from. Questions to ask. Usually what we like to make sure you ask is what kind of reports do the home inspectors offer? You know, very user-friendly, digital, PDF, pictures, detailed information about what they're finding. How long have they been in the business? Are they licensed and bonded? What areas they obviously work in? Any references that they can offer that you can look up, even though most of their websites will have reviews. The cost of home inspections will vary by the size of the home, but they usually go somewhere between $400 to $750. Condos are a little less. Bigger the property that involves a lot more home is going to be a little more expensive, but that will vary on the home. And so home inspections usually take anywhere between 2 to 3 hours. A condo, probably about an hour, hour and a half maybe, but usually they take about 2 to 3 hours. Now, the more complicated the home, the longer, obviously the home inspector has to be there to make sure that he covers or she covers everything in the home. What should you receive from an inspector? An inspector is going to give you an invoice. An inspector is going to give you a full report. Normally these reports can be anywhere between 30 to 50 pages, which is why most of the time you get a link so you can look at it online, or as I do, I normally try to print it out because I like to give that also as an opportunity for them to review, especially if you have to go back to the house for follow-up inspection. Let's say the plumbing is old or needs to be replaced, maybe the roof needs to be replaced. That's a great time to go through the whole inspection report, especially if we have a contractors out there. They can look at it a little closer too, because sometimes one thing that was called out also could reflect on something else, or maybe, you know, there's other things that reflect to it that weren't called out that will be affected by any repairs that are done. Now, if the property is connected to the sewer, then there's also a decision that you have to make in regards to having a sewer scope, which they can vary from anywhere to $200 to $250. And those entail a video that you get of the condition of the sewer. And then there are, if your property that you're selecting is a septic, that's a seller responsibility, which then they order a septic company to come out and do a full inspection of the septic system, which includes a stress test and the pumping of the septic tank. That report then has to be sent to the county. The county then has to confirm it for escrow to receive the proper form saying that we have a working septic. Now, if we don't have a working septic, that's a totally different scenario where we would have to have the sellers repair it unless sewer is nearby, and then they would have to connect. But we get into more detail on that on our one-on-ones. An inspection versus an appraisal. So an inspection is not an appraisal. An inspection, its own entity. Once again, a home inspection is paid by the buyer. The buyer selects the home inspector. The buyer gets a full home inspection report. Form 35 is used by the buyer to respond to the seller if there's any defects or maintenance or whatever, however we want to respond based upon the report, or the report could be great and we move on. If we do request anything, the buyer can request home repairs, credit for repairs, terminate the purchase, or request a reduction in purchase price. This all is discussed when and after we are in this scenario because a lot of things come into play with it. Now, an appraisal versus an inspection is the appraisal is only ordered after the inspection contingency is satisfied. Now, the home appraisal is ordered by the lender, but the buyer pays for it. The lender, the buyer, the brokers have no involvement in who the appraisal company is. That is a party that we cannot speak to. Now, appraisers may call us to ask us questions, but we can't call them because we can't influence any of their work. The appraisal has to equal the bank's value of the property. So basically, if you're purchasing a property for $400, the appraisal has to come in at the price of $400 or better. If it's less than purchase price, the buyer then we get to notify the seller of the low appraisal, where either we want the purchase price to change to the reflected appraisal price, receive some sort of seller concessions, or we terminate the purchase and sale agreement. We try everything we can to keep the purchase and sale agreement intact. This is a quick summary of the real estate process, pretty much everything we just spoke about. The timeline is pretty well determined through here, because ultimately what we want to get to is signing of the documents and getting your keys to your home. So next steps that we go through are, if you are ready and want to get more information on where you are at in the process to want to purchase, is you want to connect with Evie. She's going to require some tax returns, employment verification, pay stub, bank statements, retirement documents, and you're if you don't know your credit score, they're going to have to pull credit. There's a lot more to the process, as Evie had shown, but this is just a few things that you would want to keep in mind. To include, next steps would be is scheduling a Zoom consultation with myself and Marissa. We like to do a Zoom just because we can show you a lot more information about the process that we just kind of discussed, because we go into depth about where, your location, home options, your bedrooms, bathrooms, time frame, earnest money, cash in the bank, time frame, to include every other detail that we ask, because we have a laundry list of questions, because we want to know as much as we can about you and your home buying needs. So we are looking forward to working with you and your family. If you have any questions, please let us know. We thank you very much for your time today. Marissa, Evie.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us. This obviously video is published live on Facebook, and we'll also be uploading it to our YouTube channel. So check it out. Feel free to review the information again and reach out to us for a consultation via Zoom or phone or in person.
Yeah, I look forward to answering any questions and just being a resource. Again, like Danilo said, free consultation. So no obligation to move forward with anything. Just happy to answer questions and get you on the right path.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.